Welcome, everybody. This is my class that I teach a few times a year, capability statements for government agencies. That's federal and state of Washington. I developed this class to provide you with a background, importance, and the content of a capability statement. By attending this class, you will receive the templates for federal and state of Washington capability statements, for which there are two for each. If you're a supply company, you use one, and if you're a service company, you use the other. So there's two for the state and two for the federal government. And we also provide you with the 10-page guide of the do's and don'ts of preparing a capability statement. So prior to this class starting, you should have received this PowerPoint presentation, the 10-page guide, and the 4 templates, 2 for federal and 2 for state. So you can use them. There are Microsoft Word documents. You just overwrite them and start improving your current capability statement or start working on your very first one. It typically takes 4 or 5 drafts before you get a good capability statement. So forewarning you up front, don't get frustrated over the process as you're working with your Washington Apex Accelerator advisor, that you'll be going back and working on draft number 2, get comments, work on draft number 3, get comments, work on draft number 4 before it gets into final comment. I have had 2 companies in the last 4 months or so that were able to get a final capability statement in 3 drafts, but that's unusual. It's more like 4 or 5. Okay. Who am I? I don't know any of you except for Nathan was in contract coffee hour this morning. So I'm a retired federal contracting officer after 29 years of experience with the Department of Defense, with the majority of my experience in construction, architect engineering, and service contracts, both pre-award and post-award. Half of my career was in Japan, Cuba, and Italy, and the rest of it here around Puget Sound, awarding and administering contracts for the 10 Navy installations around Puget Sound. A lot of people don't realize that there are 10 Navy installations around Puget Sound, both sides of the water. I started working with this Apex Accelerator office the day after I retired, and so I've been doing this about 6.5 years now. So here's our agenda for this class. I'm going to give you some background information on capability statements, and then we're going to talk about the requirements for a capability statement. What's the content in those? I'm going to start with federal services, then supplies, and then I'm going to go into the state of Washington, service contractors, and then supply contractors. We'll have a quiz after that to see how much you retain. We'll do a summary, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers at the end. This is about an hour and a half class, including your Q&A session. So there's not going to be an intermission halfway through this. Here's some abbreviations that we'll be using and acronyms throughout the class that you want to be familiar with. A CAGE is the Commercial and Government Entity Code that is used with federal contracting. You will get a CAGE code when you register in SAM if you register for all contracts. GPC, Government-Wide Purchase Card Program, and that's getting paid with a Visa or a MasterCard. You don't always get the choice. The solicitation will identify which method you'll get paid. This could be one of them. NAICS codes, North American Industry Classification System. Once again, this is a federal. There are 759 NAICS codes. You may have more than one, depending on what industry you're in your business that you're pursuing. NIGP is the National Institute of Government Purchasing. That's what local governments use. UEI, Unique Entity Identifier, that's what SAM, when you register for federal contracting, will assign to you. It's a 12 alphanumeric number. And UBI is a Unified Business Identifier, and that is what the state of Washington will issue to you when you register with the state of Washington. Background, your capability statement is your marketing document. So you want to keep it current. You use it to communicate your capabilities to potential business partners, stakeholders, suppliers, customers, and even your employees. Third bullet, government agencies, federal, state, and local, and contractors who need subcontractors will want your capability statement. It provides all the information that they need to know about you. Next bullet, capability statement is a living document. As I was mentioning before we got started here, as your socioeconomic certifications change, you need to update your capability statement. As you win contracts, either as being a prime contractor or a subcontractor, you need to update your capability statement. As your NAICS codes or commodity codes, remember NAICS codes for federal, commodity codes for the state, change, then you need to update your capability statement. So going back to that bullet, it's a living document. So don't run off to the printing company and print 5,000 of them, because a week later, they could be worthless. To start something in your fireplace. All right. So as I mentioned before, we're going to start with federal capability statements, services, then supply companies. So this is what a capability statement, this is our template that we would give you, but as a result of you attending the class, you've got the templates now. So a capability statement is one page, one sheet of paper, double-sided. It's not 5 pages, 7 pages, or whatnot. That is something else. That is called a statement of capabilities. These are capability statements. So on the front side, on a federal services capability statement, there are 4 components. In the upper left-hand corner there, you'll see CAGE code, UEI, NAICS code, business certifications, whether you accept the bank card, and cybersecurity. So I call that your data. Whoever's interested in you is going to need that data, your CAGE code, your UEI, so they can look you up. Over to the left, or excuse me, over to the right is core competencies. That is what you are in business to sell. What is it that you are selling? Landscape company, janitorial company. If you're a janitorial company, what kind of janitorial do you do? Biohazardous cleanups, construction site cleanups. Those are all different core competencies for a janitorial company. Down below is experience. In a federal capability statement, experience is, have you done it before? So you're going to name names. You're going to name the agencies that you have had a contract with or a subcontract with. And I recommend maybe putting behind each one of those is the period of performance in parentheses. So maybe it was January 2023 to June of 2023. That shows how current it is. Okay. And then if the reader likes what they see and say, yeah, we are interested in companies like that, how do I contact you? That's in the bottom left-hand corner. So there's your company name, address, website, point of contact, phone number, email address, so on and so forth. Now, the thing to take away with that is it doesn't have to be in this format. You can put this 4 components anyway on that sheet of paper, as long as all 4 components are there. The other thing you want to do is put at least one picture on the front side. So a person picking up a capability statement, here is what you're seeing there is the template of a federal capability statement for a service company. When I was a contracting officer and I would get these capability statements, first thing that my eye is drawn to is the photograph. And in this case, I can see the big old earth moving equipment here. So I know this is a construction company and I'm interested in construction companies. And now I'm going to start reading the information. So a photograph on the front side is really important. Now, on the second page, which is the back side of the sheet of paper, is the details of each of the contracts that you identified on the front side under experience. So the back side is just dedicated to the details of what you provided on the front side. And where possible, put in a picture associated with each one of those contracts, a picture of something that you did on that contract. All right. So this is what we were talking about, the front side, your company data, CAGE code, UEI, socioeconomic certifications, your NAICS code, or if you have more than one NAICS code, you list all your NAICS codes, whether you accept a bank card for payment, that's the government-wide purchase card program, and what is your status of cybersecurity certification. In case you didn't know, the Department of Defense cybersecurity requirements became law the end of last year and is now showing up in solicitations as of November 10th last month. It's going to be a 3-year phase-in period. So you'll want to identify your cybersecurity certification on your capability statement because agencies are going to want to know it and prime contractors are going to want to know it. Next is your core competencies, as we said, what your business does, whether you're selling, what supplies you sell, what services you provide, types of construction. Quite often I have many clients who are in the construction industry, and I have to say, okay, what part of construction do you do? Because there are many aspects of construction. There's horizontal and vertical and commercial and residential, and oh my gosh, there's all kinds. And then AE is architect engineering. Experience. For the federal government, it is called experience. Have you done it before? It is not past performance. Past performance is how well did you do it? And so you're not putting that on your capability statement, but you are putting experience on your capability statement. Who have you performed your services or sold your supplies to in the past? And how you provide that information on your capability statement, there are a lot of different ways of doing it. You can put your most recent one first, or maybe it's your biggest, sexiest one that you want to put on first. But certainly, if you are working on your federal capability statement, you want to identify your federal contracts first, then state, and then local governments, and then school districts and universities and whatnot below that. That's the pecking order, which will change when we talk about capability statement for the state of Washington. Okay. And then, as I mentioned before, your contact information. It's your point of contact. Maybe a person's name, title, phone number, email address, website, and add a picture, as I said before. Okay, so on the front side of the federal capability statement, on this page, you'll see the top 4/5 of this is service companies, and at the very bottom is supply companies. So under the detail blocks, so this is the reverse side, the back side of the capability statement on it for the federal government. So on the back side, here are the bullets of the detailed information that you're going to provide. So, for example, this is the front side of a federal capability statement. And when you flip it over, as I said, you're providing the details for each of those companies or agencies that you had a contract with or a subcontract with. You're going to list them in the same sequence as you did on the front side and put them on the back side and provide these details. And this is what I'm showing you here. These are the details. You're going to repeat the agency or client's name again. If you have a contract or agreement number, you're going to provide that. Identify whether you were the prime contractor or the subcontractor. Contract type, this might be difficult to discern, but in parentheses, there are some of the various types of contracts. This is not all of them. This is just some of them. So in the Federal Acquisition Regulations, Part 16, they identified 19 different types of contracts. Here's a few of them, and I'll go through these abbreviations for you. Firm fixed price, FFP. C is a cost type. Time and materials, purchase order, blanket, basic ordering agreement, and an indefinite quantity type contract. So on the spectrum of risk, the pendulum swings from very firm fixed price to the other opposite end is a cost type contract, and all the rest of these are in between. Okay. Other information for detail that you're going to put on your capability statement on the backside is what was the dollar value of that job that you did? When was it awarded to you? When was the period of performance? So quite often there's a bit of confusion between date of award and period of performance. Let me give you an example. The contract might be awarded to you today on December 3rd, but the contract performance period doesn't begin until January 1st and goes for 12 months to December 31st of 2026. So there's an example. Date of award is today, but the contract doesn't start until January 1st. So period of performance is January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026. That's period of performance. Place of performance, identify where it is. Denver, Colorado, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, wherever, Seattle, Washington. And lastly is the statement of work. Identify what service or supplies did you provide under that contract. It can just be 2 or 3 sentences, just a short, concise, abbreviated statement of work, what you did for that customer or client. And then a picture. Put a picture associated with what you did. If you sold tennis shoes to them, put a picture of the tennis shoes that you sold to them. If you did earth moving, show a picture of your earth moving equipment pushing dirt. Picture tells 1,000 words. And if you are a supply company, then the back of your capability statement will look different. So these are the 2 federal capability statement templates that we were talking about earlier. This one is for supply companies, and this one is for service companies. As you can see, they are the same. It is the backside that is different. So on the backside of a capability statement for the federal government, for a supply company that sells supplies, you're going to list the supplies that you sell, and then provide pictures of some of those supplies. So that's the difference between a supply company and a service company. All right, so we just broached the subject of supply capability statements, as I said. On the left, the front side of the capability statement, same as for a service company. Now, just remember, once again, I'm going to reiterate here, your capability statement doesn't need to look like the front side of this on the left side of the capability statement. This is just showing you the 4 components plus a picture that you need to have on your front side of your capability statement. How you organize it is up to you. You want to make it pleasing, pleasant, easy to read, with color, picture, make it attractive. And for every company, it's different because some companies' core competencies is a short list, and others it could fill up 2/3 of a column. Maybe you want to put 2 pictures in. So a lot of things to consider. So what you'll see then on the backside for a supply company there is listing the supplies. How you, if you have different categories of supplies, you're going to provide those lists. And then some associated pictures for those supplies. All right, so what's the difference between a federal capability statement and a state of Washington capability statement? I've listed them here for you. So let's start on the federal and what's the equivalent to the state of Washington. So on the federal side, a NAICS code. We mentioned that before, North American Industry Classification System. There are 759 NAICS codes for the federal for the United States. And the equivalent to that for the state is commodity codes. But it's not 759 commodity codes. There are over 3,000 commodity codes for the state of Washington. So when you register in WEBs for the state of Washington, if you've already got your federal NAICS codes, it will be so much easier for you to identify your commodity codes, because all you'll do is enter your NAICS code, hit enter, and up will pop the associated commodity codes. And then you can just read each of those and figure out which ones apply to your company, and you're going to select those and start building your list of commodity codes for the state of Washington. On the federal side, the second one, UEI, Unique Entity Identifier. Uh, SAM, when you register in SAM, System for Award Management, the system will generate a UEI number and assign it to you, and that's a 12 alphanumeric number. A NAICS code is a 6 numeric number. For the state, it's the Unified Business Identifier, UBI. Well, you got to really pronounce those uh, distinctly, UEI and UBI. I've often had those abbreviations confused in a conversation. I didn't say federal, I'm talking about state. It's UBI, not UEI. Okay. Third one, CAGE code, Commercial and Government Entity Code. And for the state of Washington, there's nothing comparable. So when you register in SAM and you register for all contracts, not only will you receive a UEI, but about 10 to 15 days after you hit the enter button to submit your registration, you will be assigned a CAGE code, and that is a 5 alphanumeric number. Next one down is the small business certifications. It is the Small Business Administration that issues those certifications. Those for which you have to submit an application to get the certification, because there are two certifications that are self-certifying, and that's small business and small disadvantaged business. The rest of them you have to apply to the SBA to get. The state of Washington has small business certifications, and that is through their entity called OMWBE. That's the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise. So for each and every one of the state's socioeconomic certifications, you start by going to their website, OMWBE. On the federal side, GSA, schedule contract number. If you have one, you can put it on your capability statement. On the state, for the state of Washington, they have statewide contracts. Those are competitive solicitations that are multi-year, over $1 million each. Those are called statewide contracts. So the last one on the federal is experience, and the state calls it past performance. So this is confusing. As I said, on the federal government, they have the term experience and past performance. Experience is, have you done it before? Past performance is, how well did you do it? Now we switch over to the state of Washington. They call, have you done it before, your past performance. So just be aware of that. All right, we're going to move on to the state of Washington now, and we're going to start with services. So here is the one-page templates for each of those. Service company, supply company. The fronts are the same. It's the backs that are different, just like the federal government. So state of Washington and local government recommendations. On the front side, your contact information, just like on your federal government. So let me give you another tip here. If you are a company that's pursuing federal contracts, whether it be a prime contractor or a subcontractor, and you are also pursuing state and local government supplier service contracts, I would recommend that you work with and complete one of the two capabilities statements first, instead of working on both of them at the same time. Work on one of them, get it in final form, and then you'll be able to cut and copy. You're going to be able to copy and paste into the other capability statement that you're going to create. So you can start with federal. When you get it done, copy the different parts out of it and put it into your state, because a lot of it is going to be repetitious. So don't need to be working on both of them at the same time. So one example is your contact information. It's the same on federal as it is on the state. It's your point of contact. Who do they contact in your organization? Phone number, email address, website, so on and so forth. Your company data, your UBI, your commodity codes, your certifications, socioeconomic certifications, any licenses and trade associations. Then it's your core competencies. So if you've already created one of the capability statements and you've perfected your core competencies, you're just going to be able to copy that and put it over into the other one because it's the same, whether it's federal government or the state that you're pursuing contracts. It's your core competencies. It's your supplies, services, construction, architect, engineering. What is it that your business does? Now, on a state capability statement, they have differentiators. You won't find this on a federal capability statement. On a state capability statement is what makes your business different from your competitors. Why would the reader be more interested in your company than your competitors? What sets you apart from your competitors? And lastly, it's past performance. And remember, the federal government term is experience. On the state of Washington, Washington calls it past performance. So who are or who have been your clients, typically in descending order of importance. If you don't have past performance, then you'll provide your experience. So let me find the capability statement here. Okay, here's the template. You've got a copy of it there. Draw your attention to this. On the capability statement on the front side for the state of Washington, you will see experience and you will see past performance. This is personal experience, not your clients and customers. So if you have had some clients or customers, contracts, whether you were the prime contractor or the subcontractor, you're going to list those under past performance on your state capability statement. Now, I've had a number of clients this year that just formed the company and have not been awarded a contract or a subcontract yet. So you don't use past performance, you're going to use experience, and you're going to put your personal experience in. So you're going to use one or the other, not both. Okay. So if you've actually been awarded contracts or subcontracts, you're going to delete experience and provide, identify the customers or clients under past performance. If you're just getting started and you haven't had any contracts yet, then you're going to delete past performance and put your personal experience under experience. Okay. So that's the difference on the state of Washington capability statement as opposed to the federal government capability statement. And lastly, add a picture, just like on the federal capability statement. A picture tells 1,000 words, and on the back side, put the relevant pictures. So what you did on one capability statement that you got in final form, copy it over onto the other one. Make life easier. It's so much easier to start with one, get it perfected, and then it'll be easier and less time consuming to make your second capability statement. Okay, so now we're talking about the back side, the reverse side of that single sheet of paper called a capability statement. So for service companies, same format as on the federal government. We're just repeating these here. It's the details of what we call the past performance for the state of Washington, as opposed to experience for the federal government. Same list here. So we've already gone through this. You repeat the name of the agency or the client that you had the contract with, contract number or agreement number if you have one. I understand in commercial contracting, most of the time there is no contract number or agreement number, so you just won't be able to provide that. Identify whether you were the prime contractor or the subcontractor. Type of contract, in probably most cases it's firm fixed price, but maybe not. What was the dollar value? When was it awarded to you? The period of performance, whether it was 60 days or 60 months. You're going to identify what was the duration of that contract. Place of performance. Was it New York City or San Francisco, California, or Linwood, Washington? And then a little short description of what you did under that contract for that client or customer. Okay, 2 or 3 lines. That's all it has to be. Add a picture that's relevant for what you did on that contract. For supply companies, you're going to list the items that you sell. Okay, so that's the difference on the back side. So once again, this is the back side of a state capability statement. It's just listing the items that you sell and put some pictures in there. And this is for a state of Washington capability statement for a service company. And on the back side, you're going to provide these details for each one of the uh, clients that you identified on the front side under past performance. All right, moving on. So here's what we were just talking about. Capability statement for a supply company, a company that sells supplies. Front side is there on the left, and the back side is where you list the supply items that you sell and put in some associated pictures. Okay, formatting. Let's call it a capability statement, but if you are a company that sells supplies, you're a supplier, then you're going to call it a line card. Okay, capability statement for service companies like grounds maintenance company, janitorial company, construction companies, architect engineering companies. Those are capability statements. If you sell widgets and tennis shoes, laptop computers, it's a line card. So keep it short and to the point. One page, double-sided in living color. Less is more, but you don't want to have white space. You want to fill in all your white space, whether you got to change the font and the pitch and whatnot. Because if you and I've seen these, people have given me their capability statement, and it's one sheet of paper. Okay, that's fine. Got it all on here, and I flip it over, and it's blank. It's a white sheet of paper, and it's thinking, okay, so you ran out of things to say. Okay, same thing on business cards. I flip those over, and I look on the backside, and it's blank. It's a piece of paper. There's 2 sides to it. Let's fill it up. Let's provide information. Hey, so a capability statement or a line card, you have about 8 seconds to capture their attention. They're going to scan your capability statement. You want it to be visually appealing. This is what I was talking about before. If you have a logo, include it. If you don't have one, that's fine. Don't have to have a logo. Break the flow of the document into columns to make it easier and faster to read. Use bold headings, bulleted lists, not narrative paragraphs, bulletize, provide borders, color to separate and emphasize the sections. Formatting tips. You want to use a font that is without serifs. So here's an example of the T's there. So without a serif is on the right and with serifs is on the left. So preferably you want to use a font that is without serifs. Some examples there on the second bullet. There's 3 different fonts there. Those are all serif fonts, which you don't want to use. And the third bullet are 3 different fonts that are without serifs. Font size, how big is the print? Should be 14 point, no smaller than 12. You don't want to have to make the reader pull out a magnifying glass to read your capability statement. So don't make it any smaller than 12 point. Use a variety, at least 2 different fonts or styles, like italics and bold on the page to cut up the monotony. Maintain your borders and use color to imply borders. Bulletize wherever you possible. Don't put in paragraphs that a person has to read. Bulletize. Okay. One piece of advice, if you do have a logo and it is in color, use those same colors on your capability statement to make it more appealing. So, for example, if your logo is blue and gold, then on your capability statement, use blue and gold. But no solid colors. I did see a capability statement, oh, it was probably going on 2 years ago now, and it was black. It was all black with white letters. And I said, no, we got to start over here. No, no solid colors. All right. So what I would like you to do here, this is not the quiz, but these are things to make you think about whether they are acceptable or not acceptable. So we just have a few people in attendance today. So if you would turn on your microphones, and we're going to go down through these, and I'd like to hear what your opinion is, and we'll talk about them. So the use of government logos. So this is an example would be the federal government, the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, GSA, they all have logos. Is it a good idea to put those government logos on your capability statement, showing that you have contracts with them? Yes or no?
No.
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 That's right. The answer is no. Uh, oh, let's go back. No, you have to get permission from the agency to use their logo. You are a contractor to that government agency. You are not an employee of that agency. So you are not representing that government agency. You are a contractor selling something to that agency. So don't get caught and don't have an agency contracting officer call you out when they receive a capability statement and you've got their logo on it because they say, who gave you permission to use our logo? All right. Number two, name contacts for the government contract. So, for example, you've got a contract from the United States Navy and you identified the contracting officer who is administering your contract. Should you name contacts for the government contracts? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, the answer is no, because there is a lot of turnover in government points of contact. So maybe you had a contract or a subcontract with the U.S. Navy, one of their sub agencies, and the contracting officer, you knew who it was, but 6 months later, they're gone. They've moved on. So that would kind of be a disservice to the reader thinking that they could contact that person to find out about how well you performed. So it's just best do not provide points of contact on your government contracts. Use both sides of the paper.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Every sheet of paper has two sides. We're going to fill it up. Any size paper will work. True or false?
No.
No.
What size should you use?
8.5 by 11.
There you go, 8.5 by 11. Uh, the use of QR codes.
No. No.
No.
Why not?
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Let me tell you this. Up to about a year ago, the answer would be no, because the federal agencies could not use QR codes. But now some agencies are starting to use those. So if you have a QR code, go ahead and put it on your capability statement because you never know the agency or the contractor that you're working with, whether they have that capability of scanning a QR code or not. So it doesn't hurt to put it on there. Um, it's not going to it's not going to take anything away from your company or your capability statement if you've got a QR code. And in some cases, if you're working with a federal agency, maybe they can use it. So the answer now is it's okay to put QR codes on your capability statement. Next, use relevant photos.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So you want to put at least one photo on the front of your picture that kind of shows the reader what industry you're in. Are you in janitorial? You got a picture of a toilet being cleaned, or you're a landscape company and you're trimming the rose bush, or you're a construction company and you're pushing dirt with some heavy equipment. Those pictures are instrumental. Like I said, picture tells 1,000 words. The use of emails such as Hotmail. So this is your company email address. Is it a hotmail.com, a gmail.com, a comcast.net? Are those fine? We didn't talk about this, but it's very important.
Probably not.
And the reason, and that's true. And the reason for that is if you're dealing with uh, federal agencies, and you have a business email address that ends like these. Another one is msn.com, hotmail.com. The problem is when you send that email to that contracting officer or the deputy for small business for that agency, and your email address is gmail.com, it goes to their firewall and does not get through. Okay, so you need to have your own domain for your company email address because those will go through to the end recipient. Right. The use of bullet points in your capability statement is that
Yes.
Yes.
that is good. Yes, you want to use bullets, not narratives, not paragraphs that you got to read. Bulletize the information. Use words like on time, best in class, top notch service. You want to use those terms?
Probably not.
No.
Nope, they're wishy-washy, ambiguous. On time, and I hope you're going to be on time. Otherwise, you're not going to get a contract after this one. Best in class, top notch. Well, I hope so, because we only want to award to those kinds of contractors. How about fax numbers? Should we use fax numbers?
I would say yes. Another way to contact you.
Let me tell you a short story. I came back from working in Italy after 6 years in 2014, and I was a chief contracts officer, public works at the Naval Submarine Base Bangor. And I was reviewing their forms and whatnot, and they all had a fax number on it. And outside of my office was a fax machine. It very seldom turned on and spit out anything, and we never sent anything
Okay.
to anybody on a fax machine. So I went and revised all the forms and deleted the fax numbers. To me, that is old school. We do not want to receive a fax sheet of paper. We want the document to be sent to us as an attachment to an email. Okay. And then we could save that electronic document and we could print it if we wanted to. So, fax numbers, no, old school.
Okay.
Now, there are still some agencies that use fax machines. So, just be aware of that. In some cases, you may need to provide documents or information to that agency via fax. Uh, we'll leave it at that. And lastly, years in business or the year that your company was established. Is that something that you would want to put on your capability statement?
Been in business for a while, for a couple years.
Louder, please, Daniel.
Only if you've been in business for a couple years at least.
Yes. So it's the old contracting officer's answer for this one. It depends. If you just started your business, you do not want to say that we started the business in January of 2025. That looks like you are a very young company and the risk meter goes up. It could be a high risk to award you a contract. But if you've been in business for 10, 15, 20, 40 years, no harm. You could put it on there. Established in January of 1980. Fine. But if you're a new company, don't even mention when you established your company. Color. Color is important. Here's a little, and this came right out of the 10-page guide that you received. Um, as I said before, use the colors in your logo. If you've got a logo with color, use those same colors in your capability statement, but no solid colored pages. We don't want to see a black sheet of paper. Uh, Colors create emotion. And here's a color wheel with some definitions of those colors. So keep in mind when you're picking colors, uh, kind of look up this page in the 10-page guide and see, well, do I really want to use that color? Because that evokes this certain type of emotion. So keep color in mind. Customize when needed. This page pertains to not most companies. This pertains to more like consultants, teachers, and companies that do coaching, uh, because it's more difficult for them to create their capability statement. But these are things that they would want to look at is include a business background and history, um, perfect a headline containing 60 to 100 characters, list the expertise and unique capabilities, listing experience, specific projects related to the client, uh, key customers and collaborative partners. Uh, Once again, don't use government logos. Prioritize your strengths and the customer's needs and list special affiliations and licenses and capabilities. So this page, and if you want to write it, make a note on this on your copy of this PowerPoint, is that this is more geared for companies that are consultants, teachers, or coaching. Finishing touches. The first bullet, phrases, the use of phrases. Rephrase all generic terms and provide quantifiable, qualitative, factual data. So here's two examples. We offer on-time delivery. Instead, say, for the past 5 years, we have delivered on time 99.5% of the time. So you are quantifying and qualifying that term of on-time delivery. You don't want to say, we offer on-time delivery. I should hope so. Otherwise, you're not going to get my contract next time. Next example, large equipment pool. What in the world does that mean? Large to one person is not large to another. So say instead, we maintain over 100 well-maintained forklifts. Once again, you're qualifying and quantifying. Next bullet, update when needed. It's a living document, as I've been saying. So as your socioeconomic certifications change, as your awarded contracts, whether you're a prime contractor or a subcontractor, changes, you add or subtract NAICS codes for the federal government and for the state commodity codes. So your capability statement could be changing on, many times a year. So keep that in mind. Don't run off to the printing company and print 5,000 of them. Ensure consistency with other business representation. So what we're talking about here, you may have a website, you have your business cards, you've got your capability statement. You want them all to be consistent. You do not want any conflict. So on your website, you say this, and in your capability statement, you're saying something different. You don't want that. It needs to be all consistent. So that's what we're talking about in this bullet point. Next, ensure points of contact are your key business individuals. That's who you're going to identify on your capability statement. Add images, pictures. And last bullet, yes, less is more, but all text is no fun. So we're breaking it up with color and borders, bolding, italics, photographs. Okay. How many versions are needed? This is a common recurring question. So I work with clients and we get their capability statement in final form, and they're a client that is pursuing federal government contracts and as well state and local government contracts, and they're continuing on with their commercial side of the house. In that case, you're going to need 3 capability statements, one for the federal government and one for the state and local governments and one for your commercial. They're all different. The content is different. And that's what you're learning in this class. The content is different between federal and state, and certainly different than commercial. Some of the differences, NAICS codes is federal. Cybersecurity is federal, but the states are pursuing that. I actually was informed a few months ago that the state of Washington issued a solicitation, and in there If you are the successful offerer and are awarded the contract, you have to provide a certificate of insurance for cybersecurity. That's how the state of Washington is doing it currently. I don't know if it's staying that way. That's just how they're getting started. But, that's totally different than the Department of Defense. Department of Defense, you have to have a cybersecurity certification or in order to be awarded a contract. So nothing after award. This is, you got to do this before to be awarded a contract. Commodity codes is for the state of Washington. As I mentioned, there's over 3,000 of those commodity codes. NAICS codes, there's only 759, only 759 industries identified in the United States. NIGP codes are for the local governments, like counties and cities, municipalities, so on and so forth. Your socioeconomic certifications can change, and the order of precedence, the order of your experience will be different from the federal capability statement from the state of Washington's capability statement. The content is the same, but how you sequence them on your sheet of paper will be different. So, for example, the state of Washington capability statement, you're going to start out identifying your state of Washington contracts, whether you're a prime contractor or the subcontractor. And then you're going to show federal and then counties and cities and the universities and the school districts, as opposed to a federal capability statement. You're going to start out identifying your clients that are federal agencies or prime contractors with federal contracts first, and then state, and then county, and then city, and school districts, and universities, so on and so forth. So the contents is the same. It's just that it's shuffled around different from federal to state. Okay, so another example of how many versions do you need is that next bullet there. If you have more than one division in your company, then you're going to need a capability statement for each of your divisions. An example, you're a service company, maybe you're an IT company and you provide coding services, but you also sell hardware. That's a supply company. So you're going to want a capability statement for the supply side of your company and a different capability statement for the service side of your company, for your IT company. So that's an example. So you'll need two for your company. And if you're pursuing a federal and state contracts, then you're going to have two, one for each division for your federal, and then you're going to have two for each of your divisions of your state. So right there's four. Okay.
Terry,
I'm in a class.
I don't care.
All right. So here's our quiz time. Turn on your microphones and just shout out the answers if they're true or false. Number one, I can use my capability statement for Washington and federal agencies. True or false?
False. True.
I can use my capability statement for Washington and federal agencies. That is false. Because the content is different. Remember, that's what we've been going over. The content for a federal capability statement is different than the state of Washington. So let me give you an example. You have your company has one capability statement and you're pursuing federal and state. So on your capability statement, you've got NAICS codes and commodity codes, and you've got socioeconomic certifications from the state of Washington and from the Small Business Administration, and you give this to an agency, whether it's federal or state, and they look at that, and half of it, they don't have any idea what it is. Because if it's a state agency, they don't know what a NAICS code is, and they certainly don't know what a WOSB is, Woman-Owned Small Business Certification, because they don't have that. They're different. So just examples may need more than one capability statement.
I deal with you.
All right, number two, past performance is the same as experience for the federal government. True or false?
False. Oh, I suppose true. Sorry. Now that I understand the question.
Past performance is the same as experience on a federal government capability statement. The answer is false. For the federal government, experience is have you done it before? Past performance is how well did you do it? Were you satisfactory, outstanding, marginal? Past performance on the federal side is how well did you do it? Experience is have you done it before? Question number 3. A capability statement is used by only government agencies. True or false?
False.
False. Who else uses them?
Commercial people can use it.
Yeah,
Cities, school districts.
right. So they're kind of quasi-government. So what we're looking for in the answer here is contractors.
Okay.
So when a government agency awards a contract to a large business, they also have socioeconomic goals to meet. And so they are looking for small businesses, and especially small businesses with socioeconomic certifications. And so they want your capability statement also when you are talking to them. Number 4, a line card is used by supply companies, vice service companies. True or false? True.
True.
2 trues. Any falses? It is true. A line card is for a company that sells supplies. A capability statement is for a company that is a service company, like construction, janitorial, grounds maintenance, architect engineering, so on and so forth. Number 5, a federal capability statement provides your core competencies, certifications, experience, references, and differentiators. True or false?
False.
The key word here is the second word, federal. Federal capability statements. False. The answer is false. On a federal capability statement, you are providing your core competencies, your certifications, your experience, but not differentiators or references. Those are on your state capability statement. Number 6, the federal government uses commodity codes and Washington uses NAICS codes. True or false?
False.
That's correct. The federal government uses NAICS codes and the state of Washington uses commodity codes. Okay, so in summary, a capability statement is one sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, both sides in color with pictures. You communicate your core competencies, your certifications, your experience, and your contact information. It's a living document. Make updates as needed, such as experience and certifications. You may need to create more than one capability statement, such as one for the federal agencies and one for the state agencies. And if you're pursuing commercial, there will be a third one. Templates and capability statement guides are available. We provided them to you. You have them electronically now. You should have 4 capability statements, 2 for the federal government and 2 for the state of Washington, plus the 10-page guide of the do's and don'ts. All right, it's question and answer time. Leslie, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, we do. Okay, so let me scroll up here a little bit. And so Robin had the first question, and she said, you have mostly mentioned federal and state. Are capability statements expected or helpful for city, county, ports, etc. as well?
Yes, the answer is yes. And so your Washington capability statement is for the state and local governments. So that would be the state of Washington, the counties, and the cities, and you could use it for the Port of Seattle, City of Seattle, and whatnot. So that's why we have these 2 categories in the class. We have federal and we have state and local. State and local is state, counties, and cities. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right, very good. Good
First
question.
one anyway.
First
Okay,
one. Next one.
so Let's see if there's another one here, just a second. Okay, so she also wanted to know if previous contracts have been with private entities, do they count as past performance?
Past performance on your state capability statement and on the federal capability statement under experience. And yes, the answer is yes. If your company, the company that you formed, whether it was 6 months ago, 6 years ago, has sold to commercial entities, that will be identified in your capability statement also. So, for example, you may be been in business for 6 years, but now you are expanding your revenue sources and you want to get into government contracting. So you're registered in SAM for federal and you're registered in WEBS for the state of Washington. You're developing your capability statement and in your capability statement, because you're just getting started with government contracting, you don't have any government contracts or been a subcontractor to a prime contractor with a government contract. So you're going to provide your commercial contracts that you've had, identifying whether it was, Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, whoever, and when. And I always tell my clients, in parentheses behind each one of those is identify the period of performance. January 1st, 2023 to July 1st, 2023. It shows when it was, how current it was. Okay. Another question?
No further questions.
All right, open mic. Anybody any questions you would like to ask before we move on? We've got another 5 pages or so.
I don't see any hands raised and I don't see any questions in the chat.
All right, we'll move on to the next few pages and we'll have another opportunity for Q&A at the very end. All right, so these are my upcoming classes. That actually takes me through the end of the year. Our year is April 1st through March 31st. And so you'll see here, solicitation review is not a class, it's a workshop. It's 2 half days. Day 1 is January 13th in the afternoon, and day 2 is 2 days later on January 15th. I offer this workshop twice a year, and this one is in person. The one earlier this year was virtual. So we just firmed up the location this morning. It's going to be in Silverdale, Washington at WorkSource. So it should be really good. Solicitation review is really important to make that go or no go decision. How to write a letter to the government so it doesn't get rejected and sent back to you. DoD cybersecurity requirements in February. Contract modifications, everything you want to know about contract modifications. One takeaway there is you can initiate a modification as well as the government can initiate a modification. And the next one there is request for equitable adjustment. That's kind of a subset of contract modifications. It's a particular type of modification, request for equitable adjustment in March. And the very last class for the year is if you have a Department of Defense contract, is how to get paid. The Department of Defense uses wide area workflow. It is an application that you would have to register your contract up on the internet and submit an invoice in order to get paid. So we go through all the steps of that and a few tips in there also. So here are 3 monthly networking events. We had one this morning, Contract Coffee Hour. It's from 8 to 9:30, the first Wednesday of each month. It is virtual. It's where companies come in with any questions or concerns about government contracting, whether it's federal, state, or local. Another networking event we have locally is called Prime Connect. It's also virtual. It's the second Wednesday, so that would be next Wednesday morning from 8 to 9 o'clock. And that's where we bring in 1 or 2 prime contractors who are looking for subcontractors. So they get about 10 minutes and they identify their company, what industry they're in, what subcontracting opportunities they have, and how you can get vetted with them to become a subcontractor. So what's been happening is these subcontractors keep coming back month after month because every month is a different new prime contractor that they potentially can do business with. The third networking event there is Wednesdays with the Deputies for Small Business. It is a hybrid networking event. You can go in person to the Vibe in Paulsville, Washington, or connect with it virtually. And it's usually the last Wednesday of each month from 10 to 11:30. I believe the next one, because of Christmas coming up, we were just talking about that in the meeting this morning. It is Wednesday, December 17th from 10 to 11:30. Great three networking events that we have every month, and they're all free. Everything we do, Washington Apex Accelerator, is free because we are partially funded by the Department of Defense, who wants us to help you compete for government contracts. So at the bottom there is the website to register to attend any or all of these. Tomorrow you will receive a post survey. Please take a few moments to address the first three questions there. The questions 4 and 5 are optional. This will help me improve my class for the next time that I present it. Here's a map of the state of Washington that shows our 8 geographic regions. There are 14, 15 advisors throughout the state. I'm in region number 1 there, Kitsap County, North Mason. And all of our advisors are identified around the outside of the map. Here's resources. All of our classes are recorded. So you can go to washingtonapex.org to find recorded classes. There are many, many subjects that are recorded that you can review at your leisure. Just about done. Okay. You can also, all of our classes are on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and find the classes also. And webinars, you can go to washingtonapex.org/webinars to find them also. If you're in Kitsap County and you don't already have an advisor assigned to you, Kitsap County and North Mason counties, our local program manager is Mr. James Davis. There's his phone number and his email address. If you are elsewhere in the state of Washington, you would go to washingtonapex.org and register to become a client, and the closest advisor in the state will be assigned to you. If you are outside of the state of Washington, you'll go to napex.us and do the same thing, register to have an advisor assigned to you, and the closest advisor in your state will be assigned to you to help you with all kinds of government contracting, whether it's federal, state, or local. So I want to thank you for attending my class on capability statements for government agencies. That's federal and state. There's my name and there is my email address. If after today or after the class you have any questions about capability statements, by all means, send me an email and I will try to help you as best that I can.